Hello and welcome to our presentation. Today we will be talking about LEGO, a company known worldwide for its focus on quality. Their famous motto, "Only the best is good enough," fits perfectly with the themes of quality management. We will walk you through the company, the management practices that they use, and our analysis based on the things we have learned in quality management. LEGO is a global company within toy manufacturing, best known for its construction toys. The company was founded in 1932 in Billund, Denmark by Ole Kirk Christiansen, and even though LEGO has grown into a major international business, it is still family-owned through the holding company Kirkbi, which helps maintain long-term values and stability. Today, LEGO operates in more than 130 countries across the world, showing how strong and widespread the brand has become. The company also runs several large manufacturing sites, including facilities in Denmark, the Czech Republic, Hungary, Mexico, and China, which allows them to supply products efficiently to different regions. LEGO employs approximately 27,000 people globally. These employees work in a wide range of areas, from production and engineering to design, retail, and corporate functions, which highlight how big and complex the organization is. We chose LEGO because we feel naturally connected to the brand as Danish students, as the brand is Danish. The company also works seriously with quality standards, sustainability, and continuous improvement, which makes it a very relevant case for this course. Now we want to talk a bit about how LEGO connects its work to several of the UN Sustainable Developmental Goals. Sustainability is a central part of LEGO's strategy, and the goal helps guide the company's long-term direction. One of the most important goals for LEGO is Goal 4, quality education. Through the LEGO Foundation, the company invests heavily in learning through play and supports educational programs for children in vulnerable communities around the world. Another key area is Goal 8, decent work and economic growth. LEGO is strongly committed to safe and inclusive workplaces, diversity, and employee development. And because LEGO operates globally, they create high-quality jobs in many different regions. Next up is Goal 12, responsible consumption and production. Here LEGO works to reduce plastic use, develop more sustainable materials, and improve packaging. They also explore circular design principles to minimize waste throughout the product lifecycle. For Goal 13, climate action, LEGO invests in renewable energy and designs new factories that operate as carbon neutral from the moment that they open. This shows the company's commitment to long-term environmental responsibility. And finally, Goal 17, partnerships for the goals. LEGO collaborates with organizations like UNICEF, WWF, and several non-governmental organizations. These partnerships allow LEGO to create a wider and more lasting impact than the company could achieve on its own. Overall, these goals help LEGO structure its sustainability work and make sure their initiatives contribute to solving global challenges.
LEGO has implemented several management practices that we have worked with in this course. The company uses ISO 9001 for quality management and ISO 14001 for environmental management, and many total quality management principles are also reflected in their culture and daily operations. ISO 9001 and ISO 14001 are integrated into one combined system at LEGO, which means that quality and environmental work are handled through the same structure, policies, and improvement processes. In the next slides, we will look more closely at each of these practices. Let's start with ISO 9001, which is a certifiable international standard for quality management systems. It provides organizations with a structured framework to ensure that processes are well controlled, that customer and regulatory requirements are met, and that the organization works continuously to improve its performance. LEGO was first certified in 1991, and since then they have updated their systems to follow the new versions of the standard, including the 2015 version. This version emphasizes the process approach, the PDCA cycle, and risk-based thinking, all of which LEGO actively applies in its quality work. For LEGO, ISO 9001 means that processes are clearly defined, documented, and standardized across all production sites. It strengthens their customer focus, supports product safety, and ensures that non-conformities are handled in a structured way. LEGO also uses both internal and external audits to check that the system is effective and that improvements are being made. Overall, ISO 9001 helps LEGO deliver consistent, safe, and high-quality products while continuously improving their processes. Now that we have looked at LEGO's quality management system, we can now move on to the environmental management system, ISO 14001. ISO 14001 is a certifiable standard that helps the company identify, control, and reduce its environmental impact. LEGO has been certified since 2010, and the system is continuously updated to follow the latest requirements. With ISO 14001, LEGO works with standardized environmental processes across all production sites, focusing on CO2 reduction, waste management, and efficient use of resources. We won't go too deep into ISO 14001 here because we'll analyze it much more in detail later in the presentation. Even though LEGO doesn't officially call its approach total quality management, many of the core principles of TQM are clearly visible in the way the company operates. TQM is a management philosophy that involves everyone in the organization, focuses strongly on customer satisfaction, and builds quality into every process from design to delivery. We can see these elements very clearly at LEGO. LEGO has a strong quality culture, often described as quality by heart, where employees at all levels take responsibility for quality. The company is heavily customer and safety focused, which fits total quality management's idea that quality must consistently meet or exceed expectations. We also see continuous improvement, which is a central total quality management principle. LEGO works with feedback, testing, and learning from errors to refine both products and processes. Employee involvement is another key part of total quality management, and LEGO integrates this through shared responsibility for quality and cross-functional collaboration. And finally, LEGO works very process-oriented, building quality into design, production, and delivery, which aligns directly with TQM's idea that quality is created by good processes, not by inspection at the end.
We were also asked to go a bit more in depth with one of the practices, and we have chosen ISO 14001. ISO 14001 is the foundation of LEGO's environmental management system, and it supports their wider climate ambitions, including their goal to reduce CO2 emissions by 2032, while ensuring consistent environmental performance across all LEGO factories worldwide. First of all, LEGO performs environmental risk assessment at all manufacturing sites. This aligns with ISO 14001 requirements to identify significant environmental aspects and evaluate related risks and opportunities. Second, LEGO uses structured EMS procedures. These include waste sorting and recycling systems, water monitoring, and energy efficiency projects, including the use of renewable energy. These types of operational controls correspond directly to the operation and planning sections of the ISO 14001 standard. Third, ISO 14001 is integrated into everyday work through standard operating procedures, environmental emergency plans, employee training, and requirements for suppliers. This reflects the emphasis on documented information, competence, communication, and emergency preparedness. LEGO has ISO 14000 fully implemented, as it is in all of its manufacturing sites. And when they build new factories, they design them from the beginning to comply with ISO 14001, including energy-efficient technologies and renewable energy solutions. This matches the standard's requirement to consider environmental aspects throughout the product lifecycle and to incorporate environmental objectives into the strategic and operational planning. Finally, LEGO carries out both internal and external audits under ISO 14001, and they continuously monitor key environmental indicators such as CO2 emissions, energy use, water use, and waste. So overall, LEGO's implementation of ISO 14001 is fully aligned with how an environmental management system should function according to theory, identifying environmental aspects, applying structured controls, ensuring continuous improvement, and integrating environmental management into daily operations. Now we want to touch upon potential strengths and weaknesses, starting with the strength. ISO 14001 improves operational efficiency because reducing waste and optimizing energy use helps lower long-term costs. It also reduces LEGO's environmental footprint by helping them track and minimize CO2 water use and waste. Another advantage is better compliance, since the standard ensures LEGO meets environmental regulations across all countries. It also supports LEGO's sustainability-focused brand identity because the certification strengthens trust among consumers and partners. And finally, it promotes continuous improvement as LEGO constantly monitors their performance and updates their environmental practices. However, there are also some weaknesses to consider. One challenge is the high maintenance cost, since audits and training and documentation require significant resources. Implementation can also be complex, especially for a global company that needs to align different factories and regulations. There is a strong documentation burden because ISO 14001 requires detailed procedures and evidence. And lastly, the standard has a limited scope, focusing only on environmental aspects and not on social or product-related areas. Overall, ISO 14001 gives LEGO clear environmental advantages, but it also brings certain challenges in terms of cost and complexity. ISO 14001 does not stand alone at LEGO. The company integrates it with other management systems, following the logic of an integrated management system. Firstly, ISO 14001 is closely linked with ISO 9001. Both standards share the same PDCA cycle structure and require documented process-based management. At LEGO, this means that environmental and quality procedures are aligned. Audits can be coordinated, and performance is measured in a consistent way across factories. This is exactly what an IMS aims for, reducing duplication and increasing efficiency. ISO 14001 is also connected to LEGO sustainability and CSR practices. Their climate goals depend on environmental data, KPIs, and monitoring processes, all of which come from the environmental management system. So ISO 14001 actually strengthens LEGO broader sustainability strategy by giving structure to how environmental impact is measured and improved. Overall, these practices operate as an integrated system, sharing processes, documentation, KPIs, and improvement cycles. This reflects the course idea that combining management systems can create more efficiency, better alignment, and stronger organizational performance.
So, for question 2C, we recommend that LEGO implements B Corp certification. B Corp certification is an international certification standard. It goes beyond just environmental performance. It evaluates the company across environmental, social, and governance dimensions. Specifically, the certification measures impact in 5 key areas: the environment, workers, the community, customers, and governance. To become certified, a company must show documented actions and measurable results. That means the company has to prove what it's doing and show concrete improvements rather than relying on policies or statements alone. Another important point is that B Corp certification includes external verification. A third party evaluates the company's performance, and the company must go through regular recertification, which ensures ongoing improvement and accountability. So overall, B Corp certification focuses on real performance, not just communication or branding. So why do we believe that B Corp certification is the right practice for LEGO? First of all, LEGO already works extensively with environmental initiatives, but B Corp certification expands the focus to also include social impact and governance. Secondly, B Corp significantly strengthens transparency and credibility. Because the certification requires external evaluation, it gives stakeholders a much clearer and more trustworthy picture of how LEGO performs across these areas. Another advantage is that B Corp makes LEGO's sustainability efforts measurable and externally verified. This means that instead of simply stating ambitions, LEGO would have to document results and show progress over time. In addition, B Corp certification fits very well with the systems LEGO already has in place, such as ISO 9001 and ISO 14001. Finally, we recommend B Corp instead of SA 8000. The main reason is that B Corp covers environmental, social, and governance performances as a whole, while SA 8000 is much narrower and focuses only on labor conditions and working environments. Given LEGO's size, global impact, and strong sustainability ambitions, B Corp simply provides a more complete and strategic framework. We will now move on to look at how the AI answered the questions, and we will start with question 2A. First, the AI included additional sustainability practices such as circular economy, sustainable sourcing, eco-design, and a renewable energy strategy. In our slides, we included ISO 9001 and ISO 14001 and total quality management. This is because we were not able to find any legal sources confirming that eco-design or circular economy are formally used within the company. So the AI has added practices that we cannot justify with the material available to us. The AI also included an extended implementation timeline. For example, it mentioned the shift to renewable energy between 2012 and 2015, the introduction of bio-based plastics in 2018, and the rollout of recycled plastic between 2020 and 2023. These timelines do not appear in our version because they are not part of the quality management systems or environmental management systems that we chose to focus on. And importantly, these timelines were not supported by the legal sources we used in our research. So overall, the AI has taken a broader sustainability approach, whereas our answer stays within the documented systems that we could verify with official legal information. So now I'll tell you a bit about how AI answered question 2B. We can see that the AI chose a different approach than we did. While we focused on how LEGO implements ISO 14001, the AI instead chose to answer how LEGO implements circular economy. This already shows a clear difference in scope because circular economy is not the management practice we analyzed. The AI also included a general theoretical explanation by giving a full introduction to the chosen practice. In this case, it was circular economy as just mentioned. The AI explained what the practice is in general, why it exists, and which principle it is based on. In our slides, we did not include this kind of theoretical introduction because we focused specifically on ISO 14001. The AI also included broader practical examples. Instead of describing environmental procedures, the AI added concrete examples of how circular economy appears in LEGO's real-world operations. For instance, the AI mentioned the LEGO Replay program, recycled PET material innovation, and the redesign of LEGO's packaging. These examples go beyond the environmental management systems that we analyzed. So for the last question, we will also look at how AI answered this question, and the question is 2C. We can see that AI also took a very different approach compared to our own work. First of all, the AI recommended a complete different practice called product as a service and a LEGO subscription model. This is not a practice that is part of our curriculum, and therefore it is not something we focused on in our analysis. The AI also included a business model transformation perspective. For example, it talked about new revenue models, product circularity, and extended product lifetime. Our recommendation does not include this kind of perspective because these practices are not a quality management system or an environmental management systems. The AI also included comparisons with several alternative practices such as carbon offsetting, green marketing, and CSR. In our own slides, we compared B Corp certification to SA 8000 because that comparison is directly linked to the systems in our curriculum. So to summarize this whole AI part, the AI introduced several systems and concepts that are not part of our curriculum. And some of these may not even fall within the scope of the quality management systems or environmental management systems that we have worked with in this course. Because of that, our answer stays focused on the practices we can justify using LEGO's own sources and theory from the curriculum.